Hi guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about a horror game that has the scariest element of all. The gaze. Now, we are talking about Sorry We're Closed. And Sorry We're Closed is honestly a quite good game. It is definitely an LGBTQ themed game and I really love it. You will be playing as a lesbian woman throughout this game and I cannot understand how good this game is. The writing is honestly top notch. It is about love and hate in relationships. It's really good. And I cannot undersell it when I stand here. I think you should go and play it by yourself. You shouldn't be listening to this video before you've played it. And if you do, then spoilers ahead. But I do recommend the game. It is really good. It's a very classical style horror game if that sells you on anything. But man, you have quite a ride ahead of you. So what is Sorry We're Closed? Sorry We're Closed is an indie horror game that's unapologetically queer. Sorry We're Closed is also a game that has a top-down perspective, a focus on resource management, along with some of the best character development and storytelling I've seen in any game. There's also a just insane amount of attention to detail. But to begin with the story, essentially you play as Michelle, who a few years ago broke up with their partner, Leslie. Leslie, after you two broke up, went on to become a famous actress and star in this show called Dying Petals that you'll be seeing a few clips of throughout the game. Meanwhile, you proceeded to sort of remain stuck and never really moving on. Now, one day a demon notices that, and this demon has fallen out of love with Heaven. Heaven essentially pushed them away in what is known as the Great Divide, where demons and angels sort of ended up splitting up. And in losing the love of Heaven, the demon believes that if it can replace that love, which it will do with your love, it can become an angel again. Now, in that, you sort of end up finding out that you have been cursed, you have been branded with this third eye that allows you to tap between dimensions, which is used both for puzzle solving, but also just for lore tap bits. You can tap around the different offices when you're exploring your first dungeon to see both how it looks in the demon world. If you just press your spacebar, it opens the circle. So you can go around and see how the area you're exploring in the demon world looks in both the human and the demon world. And this is sort of used to a pretty good effect. You can really get some character development about the villains you're fighting through the pictures that you'll see, and all of these other things. As an example, you go through a family crypt where you can see some of these sort of items that they have scattered around and how quote-unquote wealthy they were, as that is a major part of that enemy's storyline. But luckily, it is not just enemies that have good storylines, as some of the NPCs that you'll meet that you get to interact with, where you can choose to either help them or not help them and sort of guide them throughout their process and their changes, also are written really, really well. My favorite being a storyline between the character Oakley and his boyfriend Daryl. Now, Daryl is my favorite character in this game, period. Daryl is essentially a sort of bad boy type of character, and the entire idea of Daryl is that he does everything he can for Oakley. When you first meet him, your very first impression of Daryl is likely that he is a dick. He is absolutely the worst. He treats people like shit and all of that. And as you go on, you find out that he struck a deal with this big demon, the same one that cursed you, because he wants to get more money. He wants to get Oakley a better life, so Oakley's parents will approve of Daryl. Because the one thing that means anything in Daryl's life is Oakley, and you will get to help them on their relationship. Luckily, the quests aren't too complicated, but I really, really enjoy the way that these are written, and especially the animations of it. I think they're just really cute. I really enjoy the sort of entire thing that is going on here. And this is just one example, mind you. There are many, many, many more examples in this game. As another example is that you have another NPC called Clarissa. If you help her, you'll have to sort of tear down the relationship between Oakley and Daryl. Now, you get to pick whichever one you want to do here. I personally went the Daryl route, I'm just saying. And I found it to be really, really fun. And I found it to be a really well-written character.
as he develops, you will also get to learn more about him. One of the things that he does very early on, so I don't consider it that big of a spoiler, is that he brings in a hamster, or at least he says it's a hamster. It turns out the hamster is a rat, because he wants to surprise Oakley. Now, when it comes to attention to detail, one of the things that I really like about this game is the sort of mind's eye that you have, the switching between the demon world and the real world, as that allows you to not just solve puzzles and stuff like that, but it's also used in the game to give you context clues. As an example, there might be visuals, paintings, or other things that you can see in the real world that'll have another appearance in the demon world. And that can be used to sometimes point towards explanations of what's happening. You will be able to see this CEO picture hanging in her office worker's office and all of this sort of stuff where you can sort of really see the character of the different villains shine through. And I really like that, like I said. Another thing that the mind's eye has been used for is combat. Because unlike some games where you can swap between dimensions, this has a central piece in the game, both within puzzle solving, but also within the actual gameplay you'll be doing. In combat scenarios, you can use your mind's eye to have this little circle around you, where when demons touch it, they'll get stunned. However, they won't just get stunned, they will have a big heart that appears on them. If you shoot that heart, you will deal substantially more damage to the demon, as it is a weak point. That feeds into your ultimate weapon, which you unlock partially through the very first dungeon. Now, what I mean by that is that some demons have multiple hearts you need to shoot, so you'll shoot the top one first and then you'll make your way down. And once you've made your way all the way down, they'll usually just outright die. And that will charge your Heartbreaker, the ultimate weapon that you have in the game. And that has also been used often in boss fights and everywhere else. And I really like the system, as it both makes it so I have an option to save on resources by being good at the game and hitting my shots. But at the same time, sometimes I find myself just not using it, because the enemies are so plentiful that I can't keep stunning them, as there is sometimes things that will lock you out from using your third eye. Another part of the details I really fucking love in Sorry We're Closed is all of the weapons. All of them have their unique theme. The one that I'll be putting a bit of a focus on is Hellhound, the very first pistol you get in the game. That gun, when you reload it, snarls at you like a dog because it is Hellhound. And I think that is a pretty cute little detail that I really like. I also like how the difference between a melee weapon like your axe and a gun sort of feels, because there are places where the axe is probably better used. As an example, for the very small demons, I like to use the axe. With the third eye, then you just go down there and you slap them. Until fairly late in the second area, where I felt like I had enough ammo for my handgun to just use it for almost everything, and then I got the shotgun and then we went entirely overboard. But I really like how these sort of systems come together, as you'll also use the third eye for puzzle solving, where you might be able to see a water bottle in spikes in the demon world. If you use your third eye around the water bottle, you'll actually just be able to pick it up. Sometimes you can even get close to items in the demon world that might be stuck. Use your mind's eyes through a wall to have them fall down so you can pick them up and solve some more puzzles. And often the puzzles themselves aren't really the head scratchers here. They aren't gonna make you question your existence or anything like that. They are sometimes decently difficult, but it's not very often difficult in the sense that I am stuck and I don't know what I'm doing. I think they have a slightly lower than what I would have liked difficulty, but that's also about where it's at. I think the game itself is just really good. In terms of themes, I think there is a lot of stagnation in this game. I think the game covers stagnation as being one of its really big topics. Specifically the stagnation in life while your ex moves on and this feeling of being put behind. And not just that, but also wanting them back, being stuck in the old. I think it's explained exceptionally well with Michelle. Throughout the entire game, Michelle will talk about how they want Leslie back and all of this sort of stuff. And Leslie has clearly moved on, while Michelle just doesn't seem to be able to. And I think this is a really interesting sort of visual display of it. I think the game does a really good job of showing these themes really well. Just like I think one of the big things that it's trying to show is that you can't really force love to happen, and I think it shows it really well. Like the Duchess does, is shown really well with the Duchess. Essentially, the Duchess tries, and has tried before, to force people to love them, without ever conforming any part of themselves to that love. And I think these sort of themes are shown really well within the game. And I think that they are displayed super well as well. Now, I myself probably also have a little bit of special feelings toward this game. Partially because I did play this with my girlfriend. And we would sort of go back on talking about the game and all of the stuff. I'll stream it to her through Discord and we'd talk about all of the sort of themes. And I also highly recommend doing it if you have a partner and have the availability to. I think it was a really fun experience, but in general, it's just one of those things where I think the game covers everything exceptionally well. When it takes a theme up, it doesn't feel misplaced. It doesn't feel like it's doing something just for the sake of doing it. It feels like there's real thought put behind everything. And I think that's really nice to see, especially in the modern day, where sometimes storytelling can seemingly take a sort of backseat for some games. I like to see these sort of indie games come up and pick up these really deep themes and cover them in mature ways. I really like it. And I think Subway Close is almost everything I want in a horror game. It doesn't have any jump scares. It doesn't have any sort of these tropey things. And the biggest trope in the game is this sort of love theme being covered. But even that it's doing in a unique way. I really, really like Survivor Closed, and I highly recommend it to anybody who likes horror. And that is sort of going to be where I end the video. I love this game. I recommend you go and check this game out. I love the themes that the game covers. I love how it covers it. I love the gameplay of the game being this old school resource management style of horror game that I feel like sometimes can almost be a lost art still. I really like how this game handles itself. And with that being said, I hope you liked what you saw here today, and if you did, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. You know the YouTube stuff. But most importantly, if you made it this far, I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you. Regardless of whether or not you liked it, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here until the end and listening to me yap about something I am passionate about and like. And I'll see you all later. Bye.